Mute yourself.
Dear brothers and sisters,
every year on the 8th of March, International Women's Day is celebrated across the globe. It's a day to recognise female achievement and a call to action, encouraging everyone to stand up for women's rights and gender equality. Gender equality means no matter your gender, you're granted the same rights, privileges and access to opportunities as everyone else. You may be thinking, why is this day so important? Throughout history, women have had to fight for the freedom and rights we enjoy today. 150 years ago, women couldn't vote, stand in parliament, receive proper medical attention, own property, access fair legal support, get paid the same as men, visit the same public areas as men, get a proper education. The list goes on. 150 years ago, people lived in a very different world to what we know now. So how did things change? Someone didn't snap their fingers and then bam, women had all the rights. Change occurred gradually through the tireless efforts of brave women and men fighting together for what is right. Let's rewind. In the late 19th century, the fight for women's suffrage began gaining momentum. Suffrage means the right to vote, and at this time, only men could do so. This meant that all the political decisions were decided by men, including those that only affected women. As time passed, some women grew increasingly frustrated by the lack of progress and failed attempts to achieve suffrage. One of these women was Emmeline Pankhurst, who responded by forming the Women's Social and Political Union in 1903, which encouraged a stronger kind of activism. This led to years of protests, rallies and strikes, with women being arrested, jailed, injured, and some even losing their lives in the fight for suffrage. When the First World War was declared in 1914, suffragettes shifted their campaign to encourage women's involvement in the war effort. The devastation of war brought the nation together in support of one another, and attitudes began to change. Women took on responsibilities and jobs that they were previously excluded from, like working as mechanics and drivers. In 1918, the Representation of the People Bill was passed, giving women the right to vote. However, it was only some women of a certain age and circumstance. It wasn't until 1928 that all women over 21 were finally allowed to vote. The right to vote is instrumental in creating a society that is fair and just. Imagine if all the UK were one gigantic football team. Half of the team can play exactly as they are, while the other is blindfolded. The team probably isn't going to do so great. The same goes for a society. If everyone has the same rights and freedoms, a society can grow and develop in a way that benefits everyone. Once women were able to vote, the ball began rolling on other rights, like political representation, access to greater opportunities, fairer pay, and working rights. As you can see, change takes time. It wasn't until 1979 that Britain had its first female Prime Minister, which was 76 years after Emmeline Pankhurst first established the Women's Social and Political Union. So what does gender equality look like today? We are fortunate to live in a time and place where incredible opportunities are in abundance. Everyone can get an education, access healthcare, get a job, and speak their minds. However, we still have some work to do before we reach equality for all. One way that gender inequality plays out in our everyday life is through stereotypes. A stereotype is a generalised opinion of a person or group of people. Ever heard someone say something like, "You throw like a girl," or "Boys don't cry"? These kinds of phrases exist because of centuries of restrictive ideas about gender that really aren't true or fair. People are way too unique and complex to fit neatly in a box. Girls and boys can be athletic, fast and strong. And of course, everyone cries. It's normal and healthy to express your feelings and to be vulnerable. Stereotypes can be really damaging and can prevent you from being yourself and reaching your potential. Today, women are still the minority in Parliament. Leadership roles and career fields like science and engineering, as well as making less money than men on average. So, this International Women's Day, think about what you could do to help in the fight for equality. Everyone benefits when we are all treated equally. Why not celebrate the amazing achievements of women you admire? Especially now you know just what it took to get there.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the T.S.O live talk show. I'm so excited to have you guys here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're super excited to have you guys here. I just said that, but I had to say it again. So before we get started with the show, I just want to let everybody know what TSO is. TSO is a youth organization based out of Abilene, Texas. We were created to give the teens a forum to speak their views and share their ideas globally and within their community. And like I say, every single Monday, big shout out to all of our viewers and our followers. We love you guys and we appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, and comment, because if you don't, your girl already did, but do it again, because if you don't, then I will slide into your friends' DMs, and it's not the same when I slide in them, okay? You hear me? So go
Yeah.
in there
How
and
many
share with
restraining
your
orders do you
friends.
have so far for
What'd you say?
that? How many restraining orders you got so far on that?
How many stranglers?
Restraining orders for.
Oh, restraining orders. I mean, I've been in Facebook jail a lot
Mhm.
in the past 5 years of TSO. I have been barred to Facebook jail like nobody's business. But that's okay. Because if you're my friend, you're going to watch. That's how I feel. So, if you guys haven't noticed, today is International Women's Day. So we are talking about that. And we have our awesome women on our show today, Hygeer and Aria. And then, of course, our brains of the show, Justin. So thank you guys for coming on. Aria, what's going on? How are you? How is Finn Bolden?
Hey, so everything with me is going great. With Finn Bolden, actually, this week we couldn't produce an episode just because we feel like we've had so many her stories and interviews with so many amazing women that we thought it would be best to just post about that on our Instagram and kind of collaborate and interact with our listeners there today. Just because, like I said, our whole platform has been about empowering people and empowering women, and all of our interview guests have been women thus far. So from transgender activists to mental health advocates, we've talked about all women just like that. So I feel like today was just the best day to highlight all of them. So we told our listeners to go tune in to their favorite Her Story or interview episode, whichever one is the best. And yeah, so that's what's happening today on International Women's Day.
Awesome. And you can listen to the Finn Bolden show. You can go on their website. You can also catch the link off of their Instagram page. Oh my gosh. And that is Finn Bolden. That is the name on their Instagram, and their website is finnbolden.org, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I say it all the time. I get it together. So go, please check out Finn Bolden. Don't forget to like their page on Instagram, along with liking their Facebook page. Okay, guys. Sharing is caring and loving. Okay. So awesome. I think that's a perfect way to recognize all the different women that you had on your show. And we have the pleasure of meeting a few, and we love them. So big shout out to them. What about you, Justin? How are you on this International Women's Day?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's actually a pretty pleasant day today, which is a pleasant change. I mean, it started at 21 degrees and we're up to near 60, so of course that's normal in this world of climate instability. But yeah, is this in fact? I know this is International Women's Day, but is a month of March like Women's Month?
Yep.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we could even do something throughout the month. I mean, we don't have to like cover that the whole time, but I think it'd be nice to do like a little biopic or like a little blurb like every time. But No, it's been good. We'll probably do something on Reach Out as well. We did not. I mean, of course, speaking in context and everything, but nothing specifically as of yet.
Okay.
But it's always a neat thing to talk about, and of course, well deserved. And I'm pretty excited about the about the show today because we're going to have some great guests. Anna White's coming on. I'm not sure if Maya, your friend, is coming on or
Yes, we
not.
have Rhea
Nice.
out of Texas. She will be on the show as well. She runs her own business, so she's going to be talking about her journey and her success. So we got a lot to talk about, and we got limited time. So before we bring up our guests, we're going to go ahead and drop up a couple of our news events. Justin with the music.
Yom bom bom ba, yom bom ba da dum.
Oh my God.
Swear to God, I figure out how to get some music on here for real next time. I will not be doing it vocally anymore. So
Okay.
my bad, everybody. Anyway, today, 50 years ago was an event called Bloody Sunday. Anyway, not to be confused with the occurrence in Ireland in, I think, the 70s, where there was a massacre by British troops about the indigenous Irish. But this is more about the whole voting rights process. And Martin Luther King, when they were planning on marching from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, I believe it was on March 7th, 1965. And of course, they were besought by the police, and it was very violent. And you've seen striking images, undoubtedly. Just may have not associated them with the 7th of March, known as Bloody Sunday. But no, that was a pivotal step. That was a really dark day, but as often occurs, often those dark days can lead to, huge change. They can be that catalyst. So, I mean, it was a terrible day. It was unfortunate, but
Right.
it definitely, I don't know,
We've come a
something
long way.
good came out of it.
Yeah.
I would say we had, and I think we have, but
We still got a
Today-
long way to go.
yeah, today in Georgia, they actually passed a bill that very much went against the idea of voting rights for all. I don't know the specifics, but it was like a Georgia state legislature bill. It extremely curtailed voting rights and made it a lot more difficult for people to vote.
Right.
Let's see what else.
Can't hear anybody anymore.
I can hear you. So I believe today, and probably to be signed by President Biden next week, the COVID relief bill was passed.
Yes,
with
it was.
No minimum wage amendment attached, and only a $1,400 credit. But it was passed.
It was
So that's-
passed, which was
that's
very
nice.
shocking to me because I did not think that it was going to be passed. I just thought they were going to keep, going over and talking about it. But I mean, there's a lot of people out here who still don't have jobs, who need it. So I'm glad that it was passed. Definitely.
For sure. And a lot of people are in terrible financial straits. And ideally, at least to me, like there would have been the institution of a monthly stipend at the very
Right.
least until this is over. But for the moment, this is that one-time payment,
Right.
which will be nice. Honestly, it'll help me with some bills. I'm not going to complain, but it's in no way enough.
Right.
And of course, this comes on the heels of, I think, 16 states being completely opened up. Like all restrictions have been called off. Like, I know we hear a lot about Texas, but it's other states too. It's a lot of other states as well.
I don't really understand it. I feel like we're not going to advance as long as we have these, where all of our restrictions taken away. And that's why I'm really glad that I know a lot of people aren't happy with Governor Wolf, but I am actually glad that he has stuck to his word by keep trying to keep everybody safe. And I get it. Not everybody likes wearing a mask. Not everybody likes that all the bars closed, clubs closed, can't go swimming or whatever. A lot of people have a hard time with that, but we got to really think of how it affects people in the long run. So I advise everybody stay up with your local news. If you're not here in Pennsylvania, if you're in Texas, New York, New Jersey, Egypt, wherever you're watching us at, make sure you're staying up on your current news to know what's happening in and around your city. On to our next news topic before we bring our guests on, the George Floyd case. Justin, let's talk about that.
Yeah, so they've been just getting ready in Minneapolis for the trial of Derek Chauvin, who, of course, was the police officer who knelt on George Floyd's neck until he suffocated and died. And I had forgotten, I guess, that the judge had dismissed the third-degree murder charge. He wasn't even being charged with third-degree murder. And part of the delay in the process now is they're trying to reinstitute that charge. And of course, jury selection. It's an incredibly political case. Who knows when it's actually going to start?
Right.
But the plan is on the 29th of March. But it also, they've been making preparations, kind of, expecting it to just go off in that way, to have serious protests, which makes me think their expectation is that he will not be convicted.
Correct.
So we'll see.
I mean, we have been through this multiple times with different police officers and the trials and different things like that. But this picture here that you're looking at should really infuriate you. It infuriated me just to see. So this is how they're preparing for this trial. As you can see, that's barbed wire in between two cement columns and a gate for what's going to be coming with this trial. So, I know we've been through this before, and it's sad to say we're going to continue to see it more often unless we have some really big changes in and around our communities. And only we can do that. And a big part of that is our women standing up for their rights, standing up for what they believe in, getting out there in their communities, being involved with their children. Like that's a big thing. And our fathers being involved in our kids' lives as well. Like that plays a huge part of it. So thank you, Justin, for our breaking news. Now we're going to go into our show part of our show, the International Women's Day. We have our special guest, Anna White. I'm going to go ahead and add her up here to our stream. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We are doing good. We are so
well.
happy to have you back on the T.S.O Live Talk Show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
No problem. We have a lot going on in and around our world, as you heard from our breaking news. And out of all days, International Women's Day, we decided that we are going to uplift our women and talk about the successes and the journeys that some of us have worse than others, that we have all been through. So introduce yourself, let everybody know who you are and where you come from.
Well, thank you guys for having me again. I always enjoy myself when I'm here. My name is Anna White. I'm the owner of Way with Words Consulting Services, LLC. And what I prioritize is work around diversity and inclusion training for startups, individuals, nonprofits. And I also do a lot of writing services, so resumes, professional developments, and training. So anything that usually involves words, I have a hand in. And I am a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania resident.
Awesome. So you have your hand in a lot of things as far as the community. So what does today mean to you? And I know it should be National Women's Day every day because a lot is changing in our world and we are doing a lot more things that we didn't do, as you can see from that video that we played in the beginning of the show. But for this day and this month, what does it mean for you?
I actually don't celebrate this day or this month. So this is something new to be able to really just have a space of mindfulness around, right? So it definitely is a reflective day. So much of the work that women have done in the past, I'd say well, forever, but specifically in these last couple of years for activism and advocacy, this day just really allows me to reflect on people before us that have been paving the way and allowing us to, stand on their shoulders and complete a lot of the work that they have started for us. So just
Right.
mindfulness, gratitude, and reflection today.
Right. Go
So
ahead, Justin.
yeah, Anna, again, welcome back. And when Maya's like, "Oh, I'm like, we're sitting there last night, admittedly a little bit last minute. I'm like, so what are we gonna do for the show tomorrow?" And she's like, "Well, I messaged Anna," and I'm like, "All right, well, we're all set. I'm
Well, the
good."
first thing that
And
popped in my
we're
mind was her. Like, Anna,
perfect.
everybody knows I'm a Facebook stalker. Okay.
Well, thank you.
I am watching you. I am reading your posts. I am watching your shows. I am in your life. Okay. So, talking about this with Justin, you were the first person that popped in my mind. Of course, Aria and Hygeria, they're already on the show, but outside of our show, you were the first person that popped in my mind. Just because I see how influential you are in Harrisburg. I see just how you speak and how you carry yourself, and it is important, especially of a woman of color, to uphold the stature that you have. So yes, Justin, it was last minute. That is why.
I take last minute. It's okay.
Yeah.
I love to be on anyone's mind, so I'll take it how I can get it someday. So I'm appreciative of the platforms that allow me to be my most authentic self. So I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely, and that's it's definitely what you bring to the show, and also your social commentaries. At least on the, not at least, I'd say on almost everything, but like on the mayoral in Harrisburg. We won't bore you with too many everyone with too many details because y'all are in Harrisburg. Man, you've been having some good takes on it, I think, and this is going to be, I think, an unfortunate mayoral campaign. I'm sorry, I'm getting off the topic of Women's Day, but it all just frustrates me. I'm not super happy about anyone.
Well, I think it all ties in together, right? So I thank you for honoring the fact that it has been an anniversary again for Bloody Sunday, because I think even with politics, so much of women's history is that of revisionist history, right? We have men that are telling our stories for us. So even in Selma, although we had, Good Trouble Lewis there and MLK was there, there were a lot of significant roles that women played, right? So
Right.
I honor individuals like Amelia Robinson, who they call the matriarch of the voting rights movement, right? So we have a lot of spaces where the voices of women are oftentimes disregarded or silenced. So the work that I try to do in bringing awareness to topics oftentimes is challenging, because I find that the louder women are, the bigger our target is,
Right.
because we are not, to some, we are not allowed or should be in those spaces where we are as loud as men, as demanding as men, as unapologetic as men. So I do get a lot of men asking me to tone down. So I always just find it refreshing to do the work that I'm doing and to dismantle not only racism, but a lot of misogyny that goes into the idea of power and control in our country.
Oh, absolutely, and it's a vital goal and a vital task, and I'm glad you do it and can speak to those issues from that space. It's definitely
I try my best.
Aria, you're being really quiet, so I need you to hop on.
I don't like to interrupt you all, but
I know, but being a young woman, in this time period, just like Anna said, there's been a lot of women who've paved the way in this journey. And for you, like, what is all of this coming full circle for you?
yeah, I mean, it's definitely like what Anna said. I couldn't have said it any better about this is just a great time for introspection and reflection, and just be able to pay homage to those who did it before us, especially, as a Black woman, and seeing the vital role that Black women played, not only in equality, but for equity. And exactly what Anna said, again, I couldn't have said it any better about how women's voices are often silenced, right? Especially in the civil rights movement. And something that's really important is like even, pivotal women like Coretta Scott King. And, we don't talk about her much of as an activist, but her just playing the role as Dr. Martin Luther King, I should say, wife, and the things that she sacrificed, right? Knowing that her husband was, unfaithful, and although he was doing such amazing things, like just to be such a powerful woman, I should say, and to uplift him in that way that allowed him to achieve the things that she did, and being that playing that role behind the scenes was really important. And yeah, like as a young woman, it's really important to see that representation. Every time we're on the show, I talk about the importance of representation, not only racially, but seeing women in roles of power, seeing women be unapologetic and authentic, and being able to speak their truth, regardless to what their male counterparts are saying, or
Right.
anyone saying that may disregard what they're saying, or kind of take away from their story. So I think it's so important to see that. And I just think it's really important, not just this day and not just this month, but forever, to really pay homage, like I said, to the people who did it prior to us, and to constantly be grateful for those that are helping us in the fight
Right.
for not only equality but equity, because that's so important to me.
Right. Absolutely right on. And like I said earlier, this is it, we should be celebrated all the time, but I definitely feel like we have come a long way, and we still have a long way to go in our journeys. And that's why it's so important to share the success and share the journeys that all of us have had, because somebody is going through that same journey that you went through before. And I definitely believe in having those open conversations, talking about your experiences and your journeys, because it's important. Just like Hajir, Hajir, her book, she talks about her whole life and her journey, and how she got to the person, how she got to the part of her life right now. And it wasn't an easy journey, but it's the thought of talking about it, sharing it, which helps impact others. And that's why I wanted Anna on the show. Just because from our last show we had her on, and all the information she spewed out was just perfectly done. She reminds me of Hajir a slight bit, because Hajir is like her own different genre. Hajir, are you on here? I don't know if she's
Wow.
on here or not.
Did you
I
did, did,
am. I'm
did you just
listening.
call Hajir a genre?
Yes,
Wow.
yes, she is her own genre.
That that
She's
is
doing
that
her
is all
own sound of
encompassing.
music.
That is pretty cool. Anyway, go
Yes.
ahead.
But they are
You don't
very
see
outspoken.
me, but I'm like smiling now.
Okay.
Nice.
They're both outspoken, and they both have journeys, and that's why I wanted Anna to come on here. So Hajir, I know you have something to say. I feel like we've been talking, you haven't said anything, and then I'm gonna let Anna like tell us your journey, like tell us how you got to be Anna White, like how.
Oh boy, I don't even know. Well, I think it's one of those things where you have to take every experience and place yourself in it in a space of reflection. So, who I am today is certainly not who I was a year ago, 6 months ago, 10 years ago. It is the consistent process of forgiving yourself, detoxing from spaces where you're not playing the role and being your best self, honoring yourself, and just like consistently working towards the best version of yourself, right? So I think that my level of activism came for me in college. I know people always say I have a big picture of my face behind me, but I was actually given that picture in 2008 when I graduated. I was a senior in college, and we had what I will call a confrontational moment. Some people will say race riot or whatever, but what happened was there was a Halloween picture of a noose that was placed in all around, and it was from an international student who later said he wasn't clear on, a noose. He had utilized it for Halloween for some type of flyer, but obviously when we see a noose, we know that the symbolism of that is not necessarily Halloween. So
Right.
there was a larger discussion, and I went to what's described as a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution. And just those conversations that came from people who didn't understand why people would be enraged, for people to really look at the dynamic of what it means to be Black in different spaces and really assessing power. So that year, I was kind of forced to become Anna, right? Forced to sit in, you need to say something. What is the advantage or disadvantage of being fearful of living in your own truth, of being your own person? So I always have this picture up to remind myself of who I used to be, because this was literally the moment that I think I credit when people ask me, why are you so passionate about, social justice and things like that? And I was like, because when you have no other choice but to be yourself, then that's who you need to show up as. So
Right.
I have been doing this work because I truly feel like this is my assignment. And just through everything and feedback, like, you know, people like you all that follow and watch and give feedback, it lets me know that I'm on the right track. So
Right. Yeah, you're definitely on the right track because I stay watching, but I also watch Aria and Hyger and Justin. Like I just got it. I always got to keep an eye on y'all, just so y'all know. And you watching too, sir and ma'am. I'm watching y'all too in a non creepy way. But yes, like I think that you know I just love who you are as a person, and I'm glad that you were able to go through that experience to become who you are. Because a lot of people in that moment, a lot of people shy away from their journey and they tuck it away and they're like, oh no, I'm not going to expose that. So I'm glad that you actually took the opportunity to say, hey, this is my journey, this is my path, I'm hopping on it, whether you're going to like it or not.
And I
thank
like
you.
the idea that you also said it felt like you didn't have any other choice. Not
Mhm.
that it was inevitable and that you felt forced to do it, but just that, I don't know, the expression of your character or self just made that necessary.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
couldn't help it.
And it just speaks to people like John Lewis that says that we have no choice, right? We cannot no longer sit idly by and allow for things to happen and feel any level of comfort. There is no level of comfort in just sitting still or being afraid to say something. I'd rather sacrifice and be fearful in the mission than to not carry out the mission at all, because I think it's a disservice to the women who were also scared before us but chose to do better for us. So we
Right.
have to choose to do better for, you know, people like my daughters and everyone else that's going to reap the benefits of the work that we do.
Right. Hi, Jira. I know you're gonna hop on. I keep seeing you take off your mic.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, Today is the first day I'm not interrupting. I'm listening. Like Aria said, she doesn't like to interrupt, and she's always quiet and being Aria today.
And yet I've found that isn't
But
always
I
true
am,
either. But well, anyway, we can.
well, it's hard, you know. But anyways, Anna, I am so proud of everything you do. And we're celebrating you. We're celebrating Aria and Maya. You guys need to celebrate who you are, everything that you do and accomplish. I had a few nominees, and I was hoping that one of you will nominate the other so you can come on the show today. I should have nominated you both, but I didn't want to be biased.
Hi,
But I had showcased few incredible women, and I know there are so many out there who are working silently, and we don't know about them. So please, everyone listening now, if someone inspiring you or making you feel you want to do better, or you just see them doing something to make their community, even their own home better, let us know. Send a message to me, Maya, Justin, or Aria, and we will celebrate you any day, every day in the year. You just have to let us know. We cannot read people's mind. We know many people around the area, but we don't know all of them.
right.
So send us those names, their bios, their pictures, and we would love to celebrate them every day.
Right.
For sure. And I not that people should, live their life based off of receiving awards or just for praise, but it's just, I don't know, it's reassuring. Like it feels good to know that you are appreciated
Right.
by other people and that your work isn't, just out there and invisible. It's not even being like a pride or an ego thing, just being a thing that like, all right, so people are actually hearing what I'm saying. Like what I'm
Right.
doing is having an effect.
Right. And in this time period, our children need to see us honoring one another. not tearing each other down because this person looks different from you. Our young women need to see that encouragement of one another. And with all of the bad things that we see on the news every day, and the music that we hear that deteriorates us, who we are as women, like all these things play a major part in how we view ourselves, how our children view themselves, how our young women view themselves. So having this month and this opportunity, just like Hydro said, but every day we should celebrate one another. But use this time, if you know anybody that you would like to honor, um, send us their information. Like Hydro said, send a picture. You can send it to Hydro, Justin, Aria. And today, our person that we're honoring is Anna. So if you have somebody, you bring them on, or just like Hydra said, just send us a picture. But let's use this time to to flood people's news feeds with peace and joy and happiness and excitement. There's too many times that we hear, about trials and shootings and I was about to say snowstorms, but that was like once in a lifetime thing, but too soon. I'm sorry. But we see all these bad things happening, and I'm so happy that we're doing this show, and then we're gonna do it for the rest of the month, so we have this time to acknowledge. So, Anna, with this journey, being here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, when I moved here, it was very hard. It was very hard for me, because I felt like before I met Justin and Hygear, I felt like it was so hard to meet people unless you lived here. So for you being so outspoken and being amongst the community, how were you able to flourish and get involved in different, activities and stuff in the community?
So you know what? I graduated from Harrisburg High School in 2004, and I was what people would consider a nerd. I actually never spoke. I didn't have a speaking role in high school at all. I was very much heavy book bag to myself. My friends were louder than I was. So I always had a voice, but I wasn't always empowered in my voice. So I never spoke. And so when I used to come back, I graduated from school, went to Virginia, came back. They were like, "Are you from here?" And I was like, I actually had math class with you, right? So literally there would be people who I've had these full experiences with who never remembered me. And here I am in full legit classes. Like we had algebra together. I actually know your brother. We actually went to the same church. But it's something about the idea that I wasn't making myself present, right? So I wasn't popular. You didn't see me in any sports. I just did my homework, went home, and just did it another day and prayed nobody bullied me. So I think for me, I hear that a lot with people that aren't from here, that this is a hard space to crack into. I think females in general that are in spaces like Harrisburg have to work through the idea that there's a lot of trauma, right? We're a very small city, so people have a lot of history together. And when history is not addressed, or when history is consistently brought up, rather, I think it makes for hard situations to be able to trust what we would consider outsiders, right? People are very to themselves and to the people that they know. So one of the things that I think helped me was just taking that leap and saying, I'm around a group of people I feel comfortable with. I'm going to try to do this thing. I did my first podcast last year and was like, I'm just going to try it. But it had to be something that was comfortable for me. And I think that part of extending yourself and growing and, extending your wings and flying per se is to do it when you are comfortable and to be able to be comfortable and confident enough in yourself. And I think that over the past couple of years, I've just grown to love myself and trust myself enough to make mistakes. I've forgiven myself and allowed myself grace to be able to do that around other people. And I've had to learn to trust women in a way that I think for us is very difficult to do because we're not trained to trust each other as unconditionally as we are taught to do that with men. So there's a lot that goes into getting along in Harrisburg, but I think that's just so many different dynamics of a small city.
Right. You're definitely right. You couldn't have said that any better than how you said it. And that trust factor, that's like the hugest thing. And most people don't even think about it. They don't ever. I know I rarely think about it, but it plays a huge part. And just knowing who you are as a person. That's how you break those barriers and those what's the word? Those just in dictionary. Those not repetitive.
Cycle.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
It's kind of not the word.
It's like generations. What?
Yeah, and like generational curses.
Fellow
That's what
Yeah,
fellow dictionary on the
Yeah,
show.
see the words. I got them. I got them.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Wow,
we need that.
Anna, you got away with words.
I've been told that. I've been told.
So yeah, like, you know, stepping out, knowing who you are, that's how you break those generational curses. That's how you know, start new trends and new things like that. And that's why it's so important for our young people. That's why I'm so excited that we have Aria part of the show, because just having her on there and her expressing herself shows other young women and men that they can do the same things. Too often our kids are pushing it back. Oh, you're not grown yet. You don't understand life. You don't talk. Don't think of nothing other than school. Like, those things are hidden, and they have to harbor all these feelings and all this life and not share it. So it's important to know who you are and expand on it. Let your light shine. And even if you guys go listen to the Fembolden podcast, even if you just listen to it just for a little bit, okay, and just hear these young women talk, you have the joy that will come to your heart is like no other feeling, because they are themselves. Their truth is shining, and that's important. That's what we want to show our young women and men, that it's okay for you to speak your truth and be who you are, because nobody else is going to walk your journey and your path. What's that, Hydra?
Can I say something?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
To add to what you just said, Aria is therapeutic. She should be prescribed like medication for everyone. Her voice is so soothing. Her calming demeanor. I love you, Aria, but
I love you.
Actually, like, seriously, people need to go listen to your show, because it actually, when I'm like stressed, I just listen to your voice and it calms me down. You have that demeanor. You have that. You and my guest on last week, Saturday, she's from South Sudan, and her smile like makes you forget everything. You have the same effect on me, and I'm sure you have the same effect on people. And
amazing.
also Maya, listening to Maya, she makes you laugh. She takes away your pain. Justin is the wisdom. Justin is the brain.
Y'all keep saying that. That's a lot of pressure here. It's a
I
lot
just
of
love you
expectations.
all, guys.
That's
seriously.
who you are, Justin. Accept it.
All right.
We love you too, Hydeer. And that's why I'm so glad that we're gonna do this series for the rest.
I mean it in a good way.
I
I actually wanted him to read my memoir, like when we gonna put it on like an audio. He has like a voice. So Justin, I don't care. Don't tell me you're busy or whatever, but you're gonna be the voice, whether you like it or not. That's a threat.
I'm down. Honestly, audiobooks and things like that would be something I would love to get into too. And it sounds great. Also, it's not, I don't think, an easy thing, especially to get into, the rhythm of, but I think it's a very worthwhile thing to do. So absolutely, I'm down. Just
but you have that, like, if you listen to all the audio books and even the radio, like when you listen to Smart Talks, like you should be like in every one of audio book. Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
He does.
Last week I wanted to say that and I forgot.
And the brain of the show.
He does have a voice.
The voice.
I'm blushing, or I'm just red-faced because imagine
so before
regardless,
before we get too far off topic, like today we're honoring people's success and journeys. I have one more guest that we're gonna bring on with Anna. And this is Rhea Hawkins out of Texas that I was saying that earlier. So I want her to come on and share her journey, because her journey has been crazy. Okay. And I want to give her the opportunity to share it with the class and the world. So let me go ahead and bring her up. Hi. Welcome to the T.S.O. Talk Show. We are so excited to have you on. As you could hear from us chit-chatting on the show, today is International Women's Day, and we are talking about the journeys and the success of our women in our lives, and we are honoring people that we know. So our special guest that we have on here today is Miss Anna White, and our second honoree is Rhea Hawkins from Dallas, Texas. So Rhea, if you could just, I feel so weird calling you Rhea because I don't ever call you Rhea, but go ahead and share your journey with the world and let everybody know who you are.
Okay. Hello, everybody on the panel. How are y'all?
Good.
We're good.
Great.
Doing well.
I actually said I'm Rhea Hawkins. I'm from Texas. I started my independent journey about 4 years ago as a freight broker. Before then, I was working for big, huge corporate companies, and I had no idea that this industry even existed, and that is the transportation industry, especially for women. So I had a friend, actually an old classmate, reach out to me and said, "Hey, this will be perfect for you. You should get into the freight industry." And I said, "Well, what is a freight broker? Like, what are you talking about?" And he says, "Well, freight brokers is the person that actually moves the big trucks." Okay. So during that time, I was working as a quality auditor for Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I did audits for 5 different states for their employees in all their departments. Okay. And at the time I was working from home. I actually had a work from home job, and it was awesome. Okay. Everything was awesome. But it came to a point where they did not want to have that department anymore. So they wanted to outsource it. Okay. So they did outsource it, and we all lost our jobs. But they gave us a little packet, and it was a little packet. Okay. Nothing to sustain you for years or anything like that. So I had to shift gears, and I wasn't prepared at all financially to go in and do anything else new. Okay. My background, I have an associate's degree in business and marketing, and I have a bachelor's degree in health and human services. So this whole freight broker thing was alienated to me. Okay.
Right.
Nothing that I hadn't heard anything about it. I just knew that truck drivers were men predominantly. Didn't even know that women drove trucks. Okay.
Right.
So it was a risk, and I was going to have to take a risk on me. Not only I lost my job, but I also was going through a divorce. And so after 19 years of marriage, and we had 6 kids, this was a huge move to just jump out there with little to no income. Okay. And it was a big um, investment, I should say. Okay.
Right.
And what I took from that, because here it is 4 years later, and I'm still doing the same thing. I'm independent, and I'm able to take the income. Thank you. The income and the financial uh, stability to take care of me and my kids. Okay. And it's brought not just the freedom of being able to do what I want and spend time with my kids and enjoy life a little bit more, but it also taught me that sometimes you have to take those risks and bet on
Yeah.
yourself. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Because we do a lot of gambling in our life.
We do.
We gamble on family members, we gamble on friends. We may play the lottery. That's a gamble. Okay. Going to the casino, that's gambling. And that's one of my things. I hate giving out money and I don't see anything come back. Like, I want to see a return. So this was hard for me, but I made that $2,500 investment back like that. Okay. Because I chose to bet on myself. So I
Right.
did take the course, went to school, and then I trained under other brokerages, and then decided to, you know what? Let me get out here on my own. Okay. And gain my own authority. And I started my own brokerage. So now I've been running my brokerage now for about 2 years. I've been in the industry a little over 4 years. During this whole COVID, I decided, right before COVID started, actually, decided to put myself through trucking school. So I went out there and learned how to drive the big truck. I saw, in short, where having the experience and having stories of my own instead of just listening to all the driver stories
Right.
um, put me more in the forefront
Right.
of knowing all facets of this transportation industry. So
Right.
I became a driver. And as COVID got worse and worse, I had to pull out of that truck and come home and be more of an aid to my kids, especially with them having to do online learning. which was mandatory in our district for the
Right.
first semester. Then I said, well, okay, I can't be in the truck and I can't, be able to monitor them, make sure they're getting their schoolwork done. So during those couple of months, I was home with them. I decided to start a trucking company. So now I'm running two companies, and I'm excited. I'm just overly excited. And hopefully one of my kids, and I do have six, we've got six, me and my ex-husband, their father. So I'm hoping that one of them will see what I do and gain an enjoyment in behind it. Right now, I've got one, the oldest is going to school for medical. And then the second one, graduating high school, will be going for legal. So maybe the other four jump in. You just never know, and you never know. I also teach my craft, so I do teach as well, freight broking courses and dispatching courses. So I'm always busy, y'all. But I believe in knowledge is power, and I also believe in sometimes what you've experienced in life can aid and help to someone else. And
Right.
don't always limit yourselves. If I can say anything that the panel can take from this, don't always limit yourself to your education background or even your dreams that you've set in place.
Right. Oh man, we lost her. But
That's
I
word.
agree with what she was saying. Do not limit yourself, guys. The sky is the limit. And I love Rhea. I've known her ever since I was 6 years old, begging for food. Yeah, that was me. I was that kid because I'm still fat. Yeah, I've known her. I've known her all my life, and her journey that
Let's
she
check
has
your
been
camera and the
through
mic. Okay.
is amazing. And for her to start her business and be that guiding light for her children, like she said, she has six of them. Six children. That's a big part of your life, and setting
Mhm.
that example, getting out there and saying, you know what, I'm gonna create this business. I'm gonna take a leap on myself, and I'm gonna go do it. That's huge. And I know one of the kids gonna hop on. If not, just call Big Sis Amaya. They
I hope so.
just kidding, just kidding, just kidding, just kidding. But this is why we're doing this. So we have our women to share their stories and their experiences. No matter what your circumstances are, you can grow and become something beautiful. Even in her trials of getting a divorce and having her six children, that's a big thing to go through in your life and still come out on the sunny side. It doesn't matter. And that's why I mentioned Hygeria. If you have not read Hygeria's book, I need you to go on Amazon and go get that book right now, because just reading that book, you would see her in a different light. Her journey was powerful, and that just shows that no matter what you're going through, you can always make it better. You can always. It doesn't matter. Even if it's as small as, starting your own podcast, going going on somebody else's podcast, drawing a picture, writing a song, being it doesn't matter. Your journey is your journey, but don't be afraid to share it. Don't be afraid to share it. Rhea, we do have a comment there. Please share your information. I have two truckers in my family. So go ahead and throw that out before we end the show.
So, I mean, maybe it's not as unusual as you might see from the outside, and that's where I think perceptions get in the way,
A
and that's
lot of
something.
female truckers, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Someone Muscat.
Oh, okay. We probably can't hear her. Miss Harper, I will make sure I get that information for you, okay? I will message you after the show with her information so that you have access to it. Anna, I know you have another engagement to go through, so I'm not gonna hold you for too long. But I just want to say thank you so much for being that pillar here in Harrisburg. And I look up to you, and I'm always watching. Just throw that out there. And I love your kids, even though I never met them. But just continue to be that beacon of light. And if you know anybody that you would like to honor, please let us know so we can do that for them. And before we leave, I just want you to share any words that you have for our young kids and our big kids like myself, to go on with our own journeys.
And also maybe afterwards, if you got pluggables, I mean, feel free to throw them out. Absolutely.
This guy.
Absolutely. So I will say www.waywithwordscs.com is my website. I have some videos up and there's some information about the type of work that I do. And I'll give that to you so you can plug that in. What I want to leave you guys with is that it's so important for us to honor ourselves as women, right? So even though we are everything to everybody, it's so important for us to be even that much more to ourselves.
Right.
Malcolm X has always said that women of color are the most disrespected, unprotected, and neglected. And the best way for us to honor each other is to make sure that we treat each other the exact opposite, so that we make sure we respect, protect, and acknowledge each other in a way that is uplifting to us and that allows us to rest. And also being able to understand, and there's a quote by a woman named Feminista Jones that says, "Black women are stronger than any lie told about us and any weapon that's formed against us." And I have that up on my wall next to a quote that says, "I am not my sister's keeper, I am my sister."
Right.
So these are quotes that just help me to remind myself that I have a responsibility to be nurturing to other women. I have a responsibility to uplift other women, and I have a responsibility to see myself in other women and supporting them in the work that they do. So I just want to leave everyone on women. If we get this month, then the women around you, they carry the greatest work title of all, as simply being a woman, because we know that there's so much that goes into it. So honor women, respect women, and uplift women, regardless and everywhere you go. And thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. No problem. What's your website one more time?
I think she put it up. It is www.waywithwords, that's an S, the letter CS.com. And then I'm also on Facebook. If you search for Anna White, you'll see another cute picture of me somewhere. But yeah, if you guys are looking for any type of writing services, diversity and inclusion training, or just anything that requires the use of your voice or the use of words put together appropriately and professionally, I am the person to go to. So thank you guys for the opportunity.
You are very welcome, and thank you for taking time out of your evening to come on the show. We really do appreciate it, and our door is always open. Even
I was about to say anytime.
Drag Anna through. We were like, "Hey, come on."
I'll always clear out my schedule and make sure I have time for you all if whenever possible. So thank you for always thinking of me.
Awesome, no problem. So once again, thank you everybody for tuning in to our show today. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. If you have somebody that you would like to honor for this month of March, you can do it on the Hygear Show or the T.S.O Live Talk Show. All you have to do is message Hygear, myself, Justin, or Aria. Our door is always open. We love you guys, and we will see you guys next Monday. Take care.